Cincinnati Bengals traveled to the Minnesota Vikings. Whew. We have one that
they kind of wish they hadn't.
I know for sure we have to cover as the highest graded player in PFF history in a single game.
At least tied. I don't remember. We'd have to do some research, see if there's anybody else.
It's at least tied.
I highly doubt there's anybody. I don't think there's anybody else who's ever done it. I'm pretty sure of it.
I don't think there is. And that's the man who is at the very top of the Minnesota Vikings top 5 list, cornerback Isaiah Rodgers, with, folks, that is not a typo, a 99.9. Now, I tweeted out that he was having an unbelievable game and that in the first half he had a 99.9 because, what was it, an interception return for a touchdown, a forced fumble that he recovered and then returned for another touchdown. And then he had another forced fumble, just some of those impactful plays in the game, which has been unbelievable. I just got to say, you loved this signing for the Minnesota Vikings before the season, but I can't give you. I can't say that you predicted a 99.
I can't take credit for perfection. That's for sure. The only thing I think of is I go, maybe Philadelphia should have thought about keeping this guy as their number 2.
Yeah, anytime you got a guy you let out of the building who was capable of a 99.9, obviously you might have a little bit of second thoughts there. Anyways, back to the top 5 that we had for Minnesota. Number 2 on the list is safety Theo Jackson with a 91.5. Edge rusher Jonathan Grenard a 90.8. Defensive tackle Jalen Redmond with an 89.8. Tight end TJ Hawkinson an 86.8. And then Carson Wentz in this game, who was starting for J.J. McCarthy, a 61.4. On Cincinnati's side of things, edge rusher Miles Murphy, top of their list with a 71.8. Offensive tackle Amarius Mims with a 70.7. Edge rusher Joseph Osai with a 70.3. Wide receiver Jamar Chase with a 66.4. Offensive guard Dalton Reisner a 60.2. And then Jake Browning a 64.7. Dalton, anytime we're doing a top 5 list and there is somebody on the list who makes it with a 60.2, you did not have a good day at the office as a team.
Not a great day, especially offensively. And, I came into this game thinking that Brian Flores maybe had an advantage over Jake Browning. He's a tough DC to go against. Obviously, the Bengals still have weapons. Apparently, the advantage was massive. Bengals, minus 0.807 EPA per play in this game. The worst by any team since Week 9 of 2023, when the Arizona Cardinals, with Clayton Tune as their quarterback,
shout out,
played the Cleveland Browns and lost 27-0. The worst EPA per play since the Clayton Tune Cardinals against Myles Garrett in the Browns. That's how bad this Bengals offense was.
I would have been curious as to, if you take that game out, how far back you got to go. Because I'm actually surprised that it happened as recently as 2023. Because negative 0.807 is low.
I thought I was going to have to go back further, but that game obviously jumps at Myles Garrett against Clayton Tune's a tough matchup for sure. But yeah. 5 turnovers. They had 5 turnovers and 5 explosive plays. I mean, you had as many turnovers as explosive plays, 7 negative plays. It's not really any other way to say it. It was the biggest loss in Bengals history. They've never lost by 38 points in a game. So, and offensively, now it can't get any worse than that, I think, considering what the Vikings did on defense. But this is the fear with Jake Browning as the quarterback and the offensive line being an absolute mess that it is, and basically a team that doesn't have a lot of dimensions and paths to winning games. This is the fear for the Bengals, is that if it's not this bad, it could be something close to this bad on a weekly basis. It's obviously not good, and that's just the Bengals. I mean, you turn the ball over 5 times, you're going to lose, and sometimes you're going to lose like this.
Yeah. I mean, the stat that told the story is very simple. 5 fumbles, 3 lost fumbles. I mean, that's it. I went back and I watched Browning's All-22. I watched all of his throws. It's not horrendous. Like, he's fine.
It's Jake Browning.
It's Jake Browning. It's what you would think. Like, is he Joe Burrow? Obviously, he's not Joe Burrow. But Jake Browning was fine in this game, all things considered. Was the run game good? No, they could have been better running the football. And the Bengals' offensive line, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a couple of minutes here, like, that's still an issue for this team. But genuinely, you can't fumble the ball 5 times and lose it 3 times. And you certainly can't have an interception go back for a touchdown, one of those fumble recoveries go back for a touchdown. I mean, you're not going to win the football game. You're just never going to win. So that has to be the stat that told the story here. The Bengals' offensive line, 13 pressures allowed. It's not getting any better, Dalton. 13 pressures allowed, 41.7 run blocking grade, 42.0 pass blocking grade. Orlando Brown Jr. even, who When we talk about the Bengals offensive line, we always just talk about the interior, right? Oh, they got to get the interior right. Okay, they've got to get the right three out there. They've got to all play together. Orlando Brown Jr. is supposed to be the guy who they don't have to worry about at all. 26.5 pass blocking grade in this one. Amarius Mims was their only offensive lineman who graded above a 70. You saw Dalton Reisner was number 5 on that list with a 60.2. And they just signed him, a couple weeks ago?
Yep.
So that's the biggest issue for the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, of course, Joe Burrow is hurt. That's the overarching theme. That's underneath the umbrella. But this offensive line is a massive issue, whether it's here in 2025 or moving forward. They might have to do what the Patriots did this past offseason, where the Patriots are just nope, 4 or 5 completely new offensive line starters. Now, Amarius Mims is probably going to be there, so it's not obviously going to be all 5. But they might need 3 new offensive line starters going into next season.
Yeah.
And anything less than that might be viewed as a failure for how this team is playing.
I would agree. I mean, you're going to get Mims and Fairchild coming back, and hopefully Fairchild can just make it through this rookie season without any sort of confidence being shattered. But, I mean, this has been the theme. 4 of the last 5 years, they've had a bottom 5 offensive line in our grading, and I already know this season they're in the bottom 5. I'm just checking right now to see if they're the number 1 worst one. Because
I got another stat for you while you're looking that up.
Feel free, yeah.
So Gordon McGinnis, our content director, sent this to us this morning. We talk about pass protection with the Bengals offensive line. They can't run block either. 37.4 PFF run blocking grade as a team through 3 weeks. That's the second lowest that we have charted since the 2006 Lions at a 34.5. So through 3 weeks, they're not just the worst run blocking unit in the NFL. They're the second worst that we have ever charted through the first 3 weeks of an NFL season.
And they are the lowest graded offensive line and obviously have the lowest run blocking grade in the league. I mean, there's no answers. It's just, hope you get the ball to Jamar and T enough times.
Well, the people are saying trade for Jameis because Jameis and how he's going to throw the ball 40, 50 yards down the field, that's offensive line proof because he's going to do that within the first 2.5 seconds anyways. It doesn't really matter whether they're blocking or not.
I don't know if I'd call it offensive line proof. I mean, but he's going to push it downfield more than Jake Browning, but it does. Look, at the end of the day, if your offensive line is this bad, there's nothing that's offensive line proof. You're seeing it in Cincinnati. You're seeing it in Houston. You're seeing it in Miami. This is just what you get. You see it in Cleveland. If your offensive line is this bad, this is what your offense is going to look like.
Yep.
And especially now you don't have Joe Burrow to be lightning quick with the processing and sometimes bail you out. Even if Burrow was in there, you don't feel like this team could have maybe they make the playoffs. Maybe they scratch their way to 9 or 10 wins because Joe Burrow's just that good. Now, I mean, yeah, they started 2-0, but again, at what cost? And this is where we're at. And we've talked about this everybody's talked about this for 5, 6, 7 years now with the Bengals offensive line. They just, same story.
They're not good enough.
It just repeats.
Yep. Most impressive, obviously, it's Isaiah Rodgers.
Yep.
You want to say anything more about it?
I mean, just perfection. I mean, we've never seen it.
People in the chat are like, "Oh, you couldn't give him 100." We don't. It doesn't go up to 100. 99.9 is the highest that it goes. So
if we could, honestly, if it was in there, we would. I mean, you don't just go with 2 forced fumbles. He outscored the Bengals by himself. Think about it. I mean,
I didn't even think of that.
He outscored the Bengals by himself.
No.
I mean, and a pass breakup on T. Higgins on a potential touchdown. I mean, just as great a football game as you're ever going to see played. Simply, I mean, by our scale, perfection. There's not much else you can say about it, really. I don't know the next time that we'll see that again.
I was impressed by the Vikings tight end passing game, which I really liked in this game. 6 catches, 61 receiving yards. Both the tight ends had touchdowns in this one, TJ Hockenson and Josh Oliver. 1.239 EPA per pass to tight ends, which is a very, very high mark. So very efficient throwing the ball to the tight ends, multiple tight ends that they obviously have in this offense. So I know we talk about the wide receivers and Justin Jefferson and everything like that, but a really potent tight end passing game when they want to lean into it. And I think that's going to come in handy whether it's Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy moving forward. So was impressed by the Vikings tight end passing game in a game that there's just not a lot of takeaways. When you have those kinds of dominant plays on the defense side of the ball that go back for touchdowns, it really just sort of ceases to become a competitive football game. So the thing that I took away the most that could actually be something constructive moving forward is how the Vikings were leaning into their tight ends and how it was very fruitful for them to do that.